Hello friends, and welcome to CJoy Yoga. This is going to be the shorter version of our chest openers. I also like to remind people, instead of just thinking about opening the chest, think about what's happening on the opposite side of the body, right? It's an upper back bend, and I put upper in there because the low back usually bends plenty, right? It's one of the most limber, flexible, mobile parts of the spine, which can cause us some grief, actually, because it's so mobile. So we want to learn to stabilize the low back a little bit more and try to bring that movement into the upper back. Okay, so I broke it down, but just really briefly, the hyoid bone. If it's not making sense as we move throughout class, watch the shorter video about that cue so you understand it. But let's just take one moment and do this briefly together. So let your body kind of go into its natural place, which for almost every human I have worked with, let me turn this way so I'm by my mic. Almost every human I've worked with is usually this, right? We're a little bit forward with our shoulders. Some people are the opposite way, it's true, right? But for most of us, we're kind of in that forward position. Now bring your hand up right underneath your mandible. Your hyoid bone is a U-shaped bone, much like the shape of your fingers right there. So I want you to go ahead and move your hyoid bone back, right? And put the weight in your heels. And then when you find that, more often than not, don't go too far with it. Any cue I ever give you, you can always go so extreme with it, you go too far, right? I don't want it back so much that I'm losing the alignment I'm looking for, right? But I want to move it back enough so that my crown of my head is stacked over my pubic bone, right? All my natural curves are intact, and my chin is fairly parallel to the ground. Now this is going to get harder and harder to find. When we go into an upper back bend, for instance, interlace your hands behind you or clasp your thumbs. It's the first one, so please be gentle, be kind, right? As you move your shoulders back, what I often see is, keep the elbows a little bent right now, don't go to your extreme, please, is that even as the shoulders move back, the head pitches forward. So if I were to say move your hyoid bone back here, what would that be like for you, right? And then when we reach the knuckles down and we start to open up the chest, sometimes teachers will say, look up or chin up. And I'm not a big fan of that cue because usually you're just moving, you're hinging at the C1. You're not involving the whole neck. So think of it as the upper back moves in. As the upper back moves in, the neck extends. And if I move that hyoid bone in, yes, I do end up looking up a little bit, yeah? But it's not that I'm just putting my eyes or my chin up there. You can hear what it does in my trachea, right? It's that I'm actually lengthening my whole entirety of my spine into a beautiful back bend, yeah? So we're going to play with that as we move throughout. But I need to stop and break that down because every day I see people compressing low backs and necks in order to try to open the upper back. And usually what I see is them doing that so much they feel like they're in a back bend or a chest opener, but they're not really opening their upper back very much at all, or strengthening, right, depending. So we're actually going to start in child's pose. So go ahead and bring your knees down. You're like, well, didn't we already start? We did, you know me. Go ahead and have those knees wide, those big toes touch. And by the way, I'm going to try and make a shorter version, but oh, it's really hard for me to shorten this stuff. To open that upper back, you need time. So before you bring the forehead down, I want you to go ahead and I want you to lengthen. So I'm going to walk my hands out about the width of my mat, a little wider than I might often do. I'm going to push down into my finger pads and my hands so my forearms lift up, shoulders gently in sockets, and then with the forehead lifted a few inches above the floor, right? I want you to go ahead and I want you to move that hyoid bone back. In this instance, it's up, yeah, because of our position of gravity, but back in relationship to your body, your anatomy. And then from there, go ahead and maybe the arms walk out just a little bit further. Keep that alignment best you can, and then bring the forehead down to the ground or put a block in and bring the floor up to your forehead. And working the child's pose, so we're in an active child's pose or an extended, it's often called, Utthita Balasana, right? And breathe. So hopefully we have extension on all four sides of the neck. Hopefully the spine is nice and long. Now I want you to push a little forward. My hands don't move there on a sticky mat, but my hips move further back. My spine might extend just a little bit more. Take one more breath from here. And of course, you could lie on the ground and do this. I forgot to mention that for anyone who's got hip or knee issues. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to come on up to hands and knees. And you can go ahead and bring the knees in, separate the feet out, walk the hands back so that you have your tabletop alignment, right? And let's just do a couple of cat-cows just to start moving the spine. Inhale, shoulder blades down the back, chest forward. Notice what part of your spine is really mobile and what's not. Exhale, pull the belly in, round the spine, up to the sky. Same in that move, right? And inhale, reach the chest forward. More often than not, necks and low backs are the majority of this opening right here. And exhale, pull the belly up. The area right between the shoulder blades usually does the most rounding for people here. It's what it knows. So now we're going to add a little piece in, come to neutral. Now this time I want you to stabilize your low back. Before we move into cow, I want you to just do like a light cough, like you're clearing your throat, like twice. And you feel how that low belly, those are the fibers of your transversus abdominis, or what I sometimes call the corset or low abdomen. So the next time you do that little clearing of the throat, you're going to hold it in and hold that gently in, right? And now keep that even as you reach your chest forward into cow. It may feel like you don't go as, quote, deep in, but you're probably in your upper back more. Exhale, pull the belly up, round the spine up to the sky. Let the chin come in towards the chest. And again, tone that low belly in. If it helps you to cough, I'm going to go through that a lot. We're going to do that a lot today. Hopefully, if I remember to add it in. Exhale, pull the belly up, round the spine. You can release that pressure on the abdomen, or you can keep it to try to round more down by your low back, right? Inhale, keeping that low belly toned in. And exhale, last one. Round up. And then come into your neutral. We're going to transfer this into a downward dog, but we're not going to do it hastily, right? We're going to walk our hands about 2 inches in front of our shoulders. Hands as wide as the mat for the first round, please. Rotate the hands out a little bit so the index fingers point forward. And then from there, I want you to go ahead and I want you to move your shoulders up to your ears just a little bit, right? And then go ahead and move your shoulders, shoulder blades together and down towards your buttocks a little bit, reaching the chest forward. But I can almost guarantee you dropped your belly. So, right, tone that low belly in, keep that beautiful upper back. What you just did is move the arms a little deeper into the sockets, or moved your arms back, right, in relationship to the body. Now try to keep that, curl the toes under, keep the knees bent, even as you start to push the hips up and back. So the knees very bent and the heels very high here, yeah? We're gonna go in a little different than I often coach it, so bear with me, please. Right? Hopefully you're still pushing down on your hands and finger pads. We've got those forearms lifting just like we did in extended child's pose. Now, if I were to ask you here to move your hyoid bone back, all day it's going to be in relationship to your body, not in relationship to where we are gravity-wise, right? How would that affect your position, right? And now, do that light toning of the abdomen. Now come up, straighten, keep your heels up, but straighten the legs and try to get as much length in your entire back body as you can. Keep that belly toned in, keep that upper back in, keep that hyoid bone aligned, and start to drop the heels any amount. And breathe. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Go ahead and bring your knees down and sit back. Uncurl your toes and sit back. Vajrasana, right? You could always put a block back there or kneel if this doesn't work for you. If you have a block, I'm going to have you grab that block. I'm going to stay in profile. I think you'll get more information that way. And you're going to take that block. Hopefully it's not a really heavy or a cork one. Ha ha on you if it is. I mean that in the nicest way. You're going to take the block out in front of you. Broad-shouldered friends, you might do your blocks such like this, right? So that you can have your full shoulder distance. And then from there, you're going to push into the blocks. I'm kind of somewhere in between. I'm a pretty broad-shouldered gal. And as you push into the blocks, right, we're going to start to fire up some of the front muscles of our pectorals, right? But now I want you to go ahead and I want you to slide your shoulders up a little bit. Move the arms back and feel how that brings the upper back in. Slide your shoulder blades down gently, right? And then pause right there. Now, right, tone the low belly in. And then you can go ahead and you can get rid of the blocks if you want to and just drop them, or you can start to straighten the arms and notice what starts to happen with the body, right? Maybe the chin is dropping forward. Can you get that hyoid bone in place? Can you keep that upper back gently moving forward? Can you keep the low belly toned in? So the low back is ultra long, right? We're not compressing or overarching the low back. Now push into your blocks and push the fingers, reach the fingers up, slide the shoulders up to your ears for just a moment, right? And then find the happy medium. Let them soften down, but don't box the shoulders down, right? Now if that upper back can move in just a little bit more, allow it. Still the hyoid bone moving back. That upper palate moving through the crown of the head, and you might find your gaze shifts up slightly. This should feel like an awful lot of work. Go ahead and bring the arms down, slow and controlled. Go ahead and remove the block or blocks. And downward dog again. So move the hands a couple of inches. Don't just jut back there, right? Shoot back there. Go ahead and let the shoulders move up to the ears just a little bit, right? And then move the arm bones back into their sockets. Feel that upper back move in. Move the shoulder blades down. Now move your hyoid bone in place. And reach the chest a little forward, tone the low belly, curl the toes under, and start to try to keep an element of that, all of that, even as you start to move into your downward dog. And breathe. Doesn't matter if the heels touch the floor, doesn't matter if the knees are bent or straight. What matters right now is what's happening in that upper back, shoulder, and neck connection for today. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to walk our hands back to, actually, you know what? I lied. Bring your knees down. We're going to do the section on the belly. So go ahead and come down onto your belly. No fanfare getting there. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to reach your arms out in front of you. Imagine that you have a block. Yeah? And if you were to move into that block, your forehead can be down. I'm going to leave mine lifted so you get better vocal quality, right? If you move gently into that block, lift the shoulders gently towards the ears, move the shoulders back or a little deeper into the socket, shoulder blades down. I'm even pulling my hands back just a little bit towards me, pressing the tops of the feet, thighs lift, that coughing, tone the fibers of the transversus abdominis. Now, pretend you're pushing into that block. The feet stay down the whole time, friends, but maybe you lift the arms up an inch. You can either pretend lift and you'll still feel the engagement. Maybe you lift, but if your belly flops down or your ribs flop down to the ground, you're not keeping the alignment of the rest of the spine, right? Now, can your shoulder blades move down? Can you reach that chest forward between the arms? And without lifting the chin, move the hyoid bone back and reach the chest forward, and you might find your gaze shifts a little forward. Take a breath and come down, crocodile arms. If you can stack 4 arms, please do. Hands would be the less intense version of that, depending on your shoulder girdle. You might creep your forearms forward a little bit once you get in and get that armpit line opening. Soften the ankles, the toes, the everything. Now we're going to bring our left forearm underneath us. A little in front of the shoulder is usually pretty good, but you could go all the way under the shoulder, just depends on your low back situation, right? And then from there, the right arm, just have it off to the side for now. Press into the tops of the feet, the thighs get buoyant, move that tailbone down and tone the low belly. Now shoulders up, move the arms back, shoulder blades down, right? Reach that chest forward, move that hyoid bone in place. Now bend the right knee. Reel that heel in. You're going to reach back with the right hand. You could strap the foot. If you absolutely can't get it, you could roll onto your side and bring the knee in the way we sometimes do for quad stretches and come back down, right? You're going to actually try to come to the inside arch. So you're going to turn your thumb up and then go ahead and grab the inner arch of the foot without the knee going wide. You're going to go ahead and you're going to push the foot back into the hand to help open the chest. right? And pushing, pardon me, that foot back also starts to fire up, right? The quads, which we're trying to lengthen. That can be super supportive and really wonderful. I'm noticing my head's dropping. I'm going to move my hyoid bone back in, and I'm going to push my left forearm a little forward, keeping the belly toned in so that action really helps you find that. And go ahead and come back down. And we're going to go right to the other side. Right forearm underneath you, left arm just off to the side for now. And then go ahead and tone the low belly, right? Press the feet down, thighs lift, tailbone down, all the usual suspects. Now from there, move your shoulders up to your ears, move the arms back, shoulder blades down the back, chest lifts and moves forward, right? Move the hyoid bone into position. And then from there, bend the left knee and reel it in. Try to reach back, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to turn your thumb up and try to grab the inner arch of the left foot. And from there, you're going to push that left foot back into the hand to open up the left side of the chest. Now, you might turn a little to the left, but try not to turn the body into a twist. Try to keep your torso neutral, even as you open the left front chest and shoulder. Keep that belly really, do that cough if that helps you. Find that low belly toning so the low back stays long. If you're like, nope, still in my low back, just move your arm a little further forward and that might help that. Release, crocodile, other forearm on top, pause, and break. So we're going to do that one more time. Come on up on the left forearm. We're going to add on potentially, right? From there, same stuff. Right? But I'll say it a little quicker, but we're still looking for it. Don't not do it and just wham into it, right? Press the feet down, thighs lift. Again, I'm going to tone my low belly, shoulders up, arms back, shoulder blades down to find that lift of the chest, and my hyoid bone moves back. I'm going to bend my right knee, getting a hold of that foot. Again, I'm going to reach back and turn my thumb up so I'm on the inner arch of my foot. And I'm going to tone my quads as I stretch them. I'm going to push my foot back into my hand. Now, some of us, this is plenty. Some of us, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring our hand on top of our toes, right? And from there, you might feel like that's plenty. We might bend the right elbow and start to reel the heel in even a little closer to the buttocks. And that might feel like plenty. You might turn your fingers out to the right and then forward, my hand's slipping, and then forward towards the front of your mat, over the tops of the toes. Do not put lotion on. I did it way earlier, but geez, it's still there and I'm still slippery, right? Fingers reaching forward. My chest really wants to turn to the right, so I'm going to try to turn it back as best I can. I'm losing my hyoid bone, right? I'm going to tone in my low belly because I'm losing that. It's hard to talk and do this too, by the way. And then go ahead and release that wherever you were. Right forearm comes down. We're going to go right into the other side, and then we get a break. Right? So find that same upper back stuff. So tone the low belly. Shoulders up, arms back, shoulder blades down the back, chest opens, hyoid bone. And then from there, bend the left knee. Go ahead and reach the arm out. Turn the thumb up. Come to the inside arch. And that might be plenty, right? I'm going to push my foot back so I tone my quad while I'm stretching it, quads. And then from there, I might come onto the tops of the feet and start to bend my elbow a little bit. And that might be my edge, and that's a wonderful place to be too. I might turn my fingers out towards the left and then forward towards the front of my mat, continuing to reel my heel in and down. Even here, I'm going to suggest you still push the foot into the hand, anywhere you are, so that you tone the quads while you're stretching them, right? Great benefit to that. Take another breath, and then go ahead and really gently try to control that, release that down. Original forearm on top, crocodile. Now, if your low back is like, ooh, I'm getting really sensitive, right? Make sure you're taking modifications. Keep checking into that toning of the low belly, right? Those transversus abdominis fibers, they're really going to keep the low back long, so we bring the back bend into the upper back and not all in the lower back. Now go ahead and bring your hands on the ground next to you. Go ahead and push the floor away. Come to hands and knees and just a little release. Be careful when you go into flexion, the exact opposite of what we've been doing. Inhale, chest a little forward. This one probably feels like, yep, been there. Exhale, pull the belly up, round the spine. Only might be smaller, right? Your body might be like, ooh, not so much so soon. Inhale, chest a little forward, right? Keep that toning of the low belly. Exhale, and maybe this one goes a little further in, maybe it doesn't, right? And you can kind of play with progressively getting that other action, flexion in the spine. That's this one right here in cat. And come back to central. Walk the hands forward, shoulders up, arms back, shoulder blades down, chest forward, hyoid bone, tone the low belly, curl the toes under, downward facing dog. And breathe. Take the time, right, to go through. I mean, you can push through all of this like crazy, but you miss so much of the joy, so much of the toning and the strengthening you can get, so much of the suppleness you can get in certain areas of the body. You start to miss out on some of these alignment pieces. Well, does that mean you're going to get injured? Not necessarily. However, don't you want to get to know your body on a more intimate level? Why it does what it does, why it doesn't do what it sometimes doesn't do, etc. So what if we're just exploring our body and it's not about getting a workout? Bring the right leg forward between the hands, however that's best for you to do that. Feel free to pad the knee. We're going to bring the left knee down. Uncurl the toes. Now push into the left shin like we just did, yeah? Into the hand earlier. So you start to activate the quads, reach the chest forward, and then go ahead and come on up. Hands on the thighs for a moment. Now, just to find a little toning in the pelvic floor and inner groin, different way to teach this that I just learned from Christina Sell that I really love is move your left knee over to the right side of your mat. And you can feel how that tones you in and neutralizes the pelvis, right? Now from there, tone the low belly. Find your transversus abdominis fibers. Go ahead and grab your pretend block, move the shoulders up, move the arms back, shoulder blades down, right? And then from there, move the hyoid bone back. And then inhale, start to lift the arms up. Now, if you can get an interlace, you're going to interlace with your index fingers pointing up. Thumbs can cross over each other. From there, keep everything we've done thus far, right? See if you can move your upper back in just even a little further. As you reach your fingers, your index fingers just a little back. And if you move that hyoid bone back, right, hopefully we extend the entirety of the neck and we end up gazing up without just moving at the C1 by lifting the chin or looking up, what some people often say, right? Not my favorite cues there. And now we're going to lean over to the right a little bit while we're there and start to say hi to the top of the psoas and the iliacus in the left hip. Get that left hip to gently move a little forward while your right rib moves a little forward. And come back up. Bring those hands all the way down. Step back, downward facing dog. Breathe. And then we're going to step that left foot forward and bring the right knee down. Curl, come on to fingertips, chest forward, and then push that foot down just so we find that stability, and bring the hands up to the thigh. Pause. You're going to move your right knee over towards the left edge of the mat so you find that toning. Keep pushing down so we strength and stretch at the same time. Grab your block, shoulders up, arms back, shoulder blades down, right? And move that hyoid bone back and tone the low belly. I forgot the belly first, sorry. And then go ahead and start to reach up, reach up, reach up. Interlacing if that makes sense in your body. From there, again, we don't just reach the arms back, we don't just look up, right? We move that upper back in while we keep that toning of the low belly. So we bring it more into our thoracic. And then if that thoracic's moving in and we move the hyoid bone back, we already get that extension of the neck and we are gazing up. And yeah, our index fingers are pointing back a little bit, you betcha. Yes, we do end up looking up, but it's because of the shape of the spine right now. Now lean over a little bit to the left. And see if you can work your right hip a little further forward, your left ribs a little further forward, and breathe into the iliacus and the psoas on the right. Inhale back up. Exhale, hands down. Step back, downward facing dog. And breathe. Bring the knees down. Feel free to use that padding, by the way. We're going to go into gate pose. Oh, I'm running out of time, gall darn it. It's not going to be short after all. This will be the last pose we do. I'm not going to lead us into big back bends because I really honestly feel like that would be irresponsible of me as a teacher, right? I would like to have you in some of this a little more before we go there. So do the long version if you're looking for that. Go ahead and reach your right foot out, and you can extend the toes away from you. If you want a less intense version, you would have that foot on the ground with the knee bent, right? If I had more time, I would do both versions in my own personal practice, my own body, right? I line my heel up with I can't remember if I'm mirroring or not. I don't think I am. I think I said have the right foot. Well, I'm going to say I have the right foot out. I think maybe I did. So I'm going to stick with that. Your left knee is bent, you're over it, your right leg is out, and I'm mirroring. And then from there, you're going to inhale the arms up. Actually, start out in front. Do those 3 actions, right, for the upper body, tone the belly, and move the hyoid bone back. And then move the arms up and interlace. So similar to where we just were, right? Now from there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to lean over towards our leg. Remember, if this feels too intense, just put the foot on the ground and work with that, yeah? Now, before you worry about going further in, I want you to work your right hip forward, your left hip forward, and your right ribs forward like we just did moments ago, right? Really root down through that right foot. Take an inhale. Now, keeping that action, now go ahead and move. It's almost like you're going to move your hips over to the left as you reach your fingertips over to the right, moving into a crescent shape. Moving down, in, and then moving up. Bringing those arms down, bring the knee down, and we're going to step that left foot out. Now from there, go ahead and line your heel up with your knee, right? Go ahead and bring your arms out in front of you. Move the shoulders up a little bit, move the arms back and shoulder blades down so you find that upper back chest connection. Tone, right, the transverse abdominis, and then go ahead and move the hyoid bone back. Now try to keep all of that as you reach it up, 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 up. Interlace, index fingers pointing up. This time we're not leaning back with it, we're just straight up. We're going to move our right hip forward and our left ribs forward even as we start to lean into that. You're leaving your hands up. I'm just trying to show you on my body what parts I'm speaking of, right? And we're really squarely in that side waist. Now, if you want to get deeper, it's not just plopping down, right? You're keeping those elements. And then you're going to see if maybe it's almost like your right hip's going to move out to the right as your fingers reach over to the left as you move in or down into that crescent shape, right? Try to keep the integrity, pushing the right shin down, pushing the left heel and ball mound down. And inhale, coming up. Bring those arms down. Go ahead and sit back on the heels and pause for just a moment. We're going to do one more back bend together, and then I'm going to bring us down, and I'm going to encourage you to take a Shavasana, even though for one of the first times ever, I don't like not teaching Shavasana, and I can't stand videos that do that to you, but I'm going to be one of those people today that do that to you. So you're going to curl your toes under. We're on our knees one more time. It's a knee-heavy class, right? And from that place, you're going to put your hands into your jean pockets, yeah? Or you could bring your hands across, like BKS Iyengar always called that the eyebrow of the buttocks, which I like. But let's talk about jean pockets today, if that one makes more sense. So from there, I'm going to curl my toes under, and I'm going to really use my hands to move my buttocks flesh down. And yes, my hips move forward, but I'm not trying to push them out beyond my knees. I'm just moving my buttocks flesh down and then tone in, right? Imagine even though your arms are not in front of you, your shoulders move up a little bit, your shoulder blades move back, arms move back, shoulder blades move down, and we get that curve in the chest. Now find your hyoid bone, right? If you're not okay with that, leave the chin to the chest, right? Get progressive with it. And then from there, see if you can move your elbows back and in. Keep curling through the upper back while toning that low belly, right? That neck follows the journey of the upper back. I'm not moving my chin up, nor am I looking back. It's happening from my back-neck connection. Now maybe one hand drops down to a heel. Maybe you just do one side and then the other. Maybe both hands drop down to heels. And then from there, you could put a blanket on your heels or a bolster. I'm going to push into my heels to move my hips a little forward, right? I'm going to push into my heels to move my shoulder blades down my back and open my chest. I'm going to move that hyoid bone back, 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 and move my neck into its extension. And you can hear, I can do a full, bright talking or om here. There's no restriction, constriction through my trachea. Take another breath. And then with an inhale, lift the chest first, then lift the chin, then sit back. Pause for just a moment. We're going to move into a child's pose. You could just come forward with your arms in front of you, and that might feel like plenty. A little more of an upper back bend that I really like personally after folding forward is to bring my hands in right at my hip crease, palms up. And as I move into my child's pose, I let my elbows come down. I let my shoulders round forward, the exact opposite of everything we've done, right? I let my forehead come down. Now that might feel too extreme for your personal body. We were just doing back bends and chest openings, right? And this is the exact opposite. So you could just leave your arms in front of you. You could stay a little higher and rock the hips side to side and play with maybe subtly, you know, getting into a little deeper as you go along for your practice. Let the hands slip out, hands by the knees to push the body up and away. And this is where I will encourage you to lay down on your back and to just let the body be still. If it feels like you did indeed go into the low back a little bit, be very careful when you do these moves in the future, in this class, any class, right? But a beautiful way to help that is to either put your legs up a wall, shins on a table, couch, chair, or you could roll a blanket up under your thighs. So please, please take Shavasana. Make me proud. And I apologize that I'm leaving you stranded and not building it in. I didn't do very well with my timing today. Namaste, friends.